Hi guys, good evening. Welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host Eddie, and in tonight's video, it's time for another round of my mini-series, How to Get Excited For, where in tonight's video, I will be giving you advice and suggestions on how to get excited for, yes, you guessed it, Solo, a Star Wars story, which hits theaters next weekend, May 25th. We have only one more week to go, so let's get ourselves in the mood, shall we? Now, to start off with, one of the things I would recommend that you would watch, I unfortunately do not have it in my DVD collection, but I'm sure many of you do, is to watch, out of all the Star Wars movies, The Empire Strikes Back. Why? This is the very first time we meet Lando Calrissian. This is the first time we see what kind of relationship he and Han had, or currently have, and we learn about the trials and tribulations that they go through in that particular movie. Obviously, I don't need to say spoilers, because chances are we've all seen Empire Strikes Back. But if you just need a good reminder or an amusing refresher of what Han and Lando's relationship was like, Empire Strikes Back is a great one, an excellent one for this reference, for this example. Because think about it, we're going to be seeing them meet each other face to face for the very first time in this movie, so why not remind yourself of how they were when we first met them many years ago when they were both adults? Because in this movie, they're both like in their late 20s, early 30s, I'm guessing. Yeah, that's right. So, Empire Strikes Back, I feel like out of all the Star Wars films, would be the best one to watch. I mean, they're all fun movies to watch, but like especially when we first meet Lando Calrissian in Empire Strikes Back, and how he and Han Solo interact with each other in that movie, I feel like that would be an excellent one to watch to get yourself excited for Solo. Now, my other suggestion comes, and this may surprise some of you, however, some of you might agree for my reason for suggesting it. I would recommend you watch another classic fantasy, an exciting movie from way back in the day, also directed by Ron Howard, who directed Solo, a Star Wars story. Willow! Who remembers this movie? The one written by George Lucas, done by Lucasfilm, directed by Ron Howard, starring Warwick Davis, Val Kilmer, and several other great actors as well. This is a fun fantasy movie. Whether you enjoyed Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings, who can forget the classic Willow? This is a great fantasy movie. It's a great story of good versus evil, great characters and both heroes, sidekicks, and villains, and allies, and monsters, and creatures. This is a fun, exciting movie, and I highly recommend it to anyone. This is really one of the few fantasy-based films that Ron Howard has directed, because I think Solo, because he's done a lot of movies, but I think Solo, a Star Wars story, is his first sci-fi-based fantasy. This movie is his first fantasy, and it's a great watch. Plus, here's another fun fact. Warwick Davis is starring in Solo, a Star Wars story, and he's replaying the role, I guess he's replaying the role that he played in The Phantom Menace. So I guess this is a prequel this movie's a prequel already, but it's a prequel for Warwick Davis's side character in Phantom Menace. And if you need a refresher of where he was and who he was present, he was sat next to Watto while he and the other scum and villainy of the planet were watching Anakin and Sebulba during the pod race. If you watch the movie, you will clearly see Warwick Davis there. So that's him. And another interesting note, in the past couple weeks or so, like I say week and a half, Ron Howard has confirmed that there are indeed talks or negotiations discussing the possibility of a Willow sequel. It probably depends on the outcome of Solo, a Star Wars story, and how successful it is critically and, more importantly, financially. Because if Ron Howard delivers us a fun, exciting, action-packed Star Wars movie, which I'm sure it will be, he will probably get the chance, it'll probably be greenlit to direct Willow 2. I'm not saying that's the official title, but I'm just saying a Willow sequel is very much on the table and very much a possibility, which is extremely exciting to me, because the possibilities, the potential they have for more fantasy storytelling, especially going off of this movie, that alone is incredibly, tremendously exciting. So again, this may seem like a weird recommendation, but I would recommend Willow to get yourself in the mood for Solo. And finally, last but not least, my last recommendation would be to watch Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. And you may be wondering why. Well, simply, it's a fun, exciting movie. It is a space adventure. It is about a group of ragtag individuals from all backgrounds and races coming together for a common goal. Well, not exactly a common goal, but most of them want to make money, to make profit off of selling the Infinity Stone. Spoiler alert. It's a fun-filled space adventure movie about ragtag characters who come together, and most of them don't necessarily like or trust each other, but that's what makes it such an amusing, entertaining movie. And I feel like during Solo, a Star Wars story, with the exception of Chewbacca, Han probably isn't going to trust most of the other characters, which include Emilia Clarke's character Kira, and Lando, of course, and then that snazzy robot L3. So I feel like Guardians is a good one to watch before this movie, because if you want something that's a fun space adventure film, Guardians of the Galaxy is an excellent candidate in that category. So yeah, those are my recommendations, guys. If you want to know how to get excited for Solo, a Star Wars story, I just gave you 3 great ideas. Now, if you guys have ideas or suggestions of your own, I would love to hear them. If you want to leave if you want to leave your ideas down below in the comments section, I'd love to hear from everybody. Please leave your own recommendations and suggestions on how to get excited for Solo, a Star Wars story, hitting theaters next Friday on May 25th. Tickets are now available and selling fast, so move quickly. All right, guys, have a great rest of the night. Thank you so much for watching, and of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.